Amidst the Deadpool and Longlegs hype, I want to talk about a film that is in the conversation for one of the scariest of 2024. It's called Oddity. Let's do it. What's up, flick fans? This finally came to a theater near me. I was waiting on it, got a chance to see it, and I want to discuss the disturbing nature of this crazy, soon-to-be Shudder movie.
Could you open the door?
What do you want?
You're in trouble.
What?
So a psychic medium attempts to uncover the truth behind her sister's murder at the site of the crime. This is directed by Damian Mc Carthy. His first feature was Caveat. I haven't seen that, so I had no clue the style of this movie or really what it was going to be. I went in completely blind, didn't even see a trailer. All I saw was that thing right there. What is that? What is that?
What is that?
Let's start there. The wooden mannequin, it's so freaking scary, man. That's what you want in something, first of all, that looks like that, but it's not like it's up walking around through most of the movie. It's just sitting there the majority of the time, but the way that they cut to it, the fact that it's just lingering in the background through numerous shots, there's one entire conversation that was very good dialogue, great back and forth, by the way. It also gave a lot to the audience without coming across as overly expositional, but in the midst of that, you got big wooden creatures sitting back there, and I'm just like, I'm uncomfortable. I know that's how I'm supposed to feel, but I don't know if they intended on me feeling that uncomfortable because it's not like it's consistent jump scares. It's not like it's the disturbing nature, and that's the word to use with this movie, of Oddity, what it is telling, the story it's telling, and then freaking wooden guy in the background. That being said, there are a couple of jump scares, and you all know me. I'm not a big fan of cliche conventional jump scares because most of them I see coming, and then most of the time, they just don't scare me because I know a lot about the behind-the-scenes process. That being said, there are two that come to mind during this movie that are indeed effective. One, because you don't see them coming, but two, because of the way they are handled. And while the story itself is one that somewhat feels familiar, the fact that they're implementing so many creepy and disturbing elements regarding the story, us kind of sitting around trying to figure out what is actually happening because you think you know who these characters are in the beginning, you think you know how the story is going, and then they kind of transcend that as you're moving throughout the movie and give you a different side of that story. Thus, it makes it a different film in its entirety. And that's one thing that's so cool about Oddity. Even though it's a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversations between creepy and unnatural characters, that adds so much to the experience. And once we become fully aware of the story at hand, I promise I'll talk about it, the characters are not really aware of that. So we're able to sit and go, yeah, but you don't know this is actually going on, or you don't know that there's something behind you. And the consistent implementation of that idea is spread throughout this movie. And it makes me look at this director and go, okay, there is something here. The atmosphere, the creep factor, right? It's a modern day story, but all of the characters look and feel like they shouldn't be in modern day. And just the tone of this, I'm going to make a Hereditary comparison. Very different from Hereditary, completely different movie. But that disturbing and uncomfortable atmosphere, the fact that this house looks and feels so creepy throughout the entire movie, that's how I felt watching Hereditary. That's one of the reasons why I was so scared, and I could say that is the case in Oddity as well. Just a very different story, obviously. We're not dealing with the devil as much as we are dealing with some other similar things here. But our character at the beginning, she's brutally murdered at this house that she and her husband are renovating. Ted, her husband, is a doctor at a mental health institution, and a lot of people are suspecting it's someone from that institution that murdered his wife. But later on, that suspect is found dead, and thus the mystery continues. But we flash forward a year into the future, and the girl that died has a blind sister. Her name is Darcy, and Darcy... But there's something off about Darcy. There's really something off about most of the characters in this movie. Darcy is a psychic. She collects these cursed items. One of the items is, what's that little guy? Right there. And then the husband of our dead wife has a new girlfriend. Darcy doesn't seem to like that very much. We get a little hint of that at the beginning, but as we go, we're like, there's something unnerving about the way that she's acting. And then we'll call him Bill. There's Bill. Hey, Bill. And so a lot works here because of the dialogue between those two specifically. Now, did I want to see Darcy maybe interact with her now dead sister just a little bit more, get some context as to why the relationship was so strong? Yeah, absolutely. I think that would have been a nice thing to add here, right? It's a short movie, not saying I wanted it to be 2.5 hours, but we could have added something there to get more of a reason. It's her sister. We know she's going to love her sister, but more of a reason to connect to that story because it's so integral to where this goes, and I knew there was a connection, but I never really saw or felt that on screen. So that was kind of disappointing. But then you've got Ted, some other people at this mental institution, an institution that doesn't really feel like it's up to code. Everything feels so creepy and weird, and once again, the atmosphere is so consistent throughout this movie. A couple of locations here, not very many, but every time we're at a different location, we feel that creep factor, and it did a nice job of that, implementing those jump scares and utilizing the sound effects, the sound design, and the score to elevate those moments. I thought the sounds in this movie were spectacular, things that happen in the background. Now, my one big complaint about those tragic moments are that a lot of them don't happen on screen. Now, there's something creepy about that. Absolutely, and I love when a movie makes that decision, but I don't like when it makes it so often, like Oddity does, and Oddity does it a lot. It's really not that much of a violent movie, a gory movie. Things are happening like that, but most of that is happening and we're not seeing it, which adds to the fear factor, but takes away from some of those cool moments we could have gotten. So a bit of a mixed bag there, but again, those moments still work because you don't know how it went down. All right, I've talked enough. Before I give you my score, what are your thoughts on Oddity? Let me know down below. What's the scariest movie of the year so far? And can you find this playing in a theater around you? Also, stay tuned because Deadpool spoilers on our Movie Mode podcast this weekend. You don't want to miss that. Oddity is the definition of disturbing. It creates and maintains this terrifying atmosphere from the start, injecting plenty of scares along the way. While it needed a few more character moments to answer some questions, this patient and often terrifying story is consistent enough to stand out. It is worth your time. If you enjoyed this video, dropping that like lets me know that and helps this channel, of course. What other scary movies have I missed this year? Because again, a little late on Oddity, and is there one that you would like to see me review? And I'll see you in the next video, probably some sort of spoiler video for Deadpool and Wolverine. I'll see you soon.